this is our staff, elementary, middle, from elementary school to middle school. All right. So all yours, Mr. McNiff.
So good evening, everyone. I'm Sean McNiff. I'm the principal here at Normandin. You would think that I would get something more exciting to talk about than arrival and dismissal times as the principal. So what I really want to talk to you about is it is challenging for students, many of our students, to transition from fifth to sixth grade. Many of our students come from smaller elementary schools, and a lot of parents have a lot of concerns. And I can share on a personal level, you know, my fourth child will be transitioning from a very small elementary school that she goes to a very large regional school. And so as a parent, I understand those concerns. So I think we have a great team here. You certainly should reach out to us as much as you can, you know, in helping with that transition and understanding the different parts of what makes up a middle school. I really want to promote to the parents who are on this presentation our advanced learning program. We really are looking for students to participate in our advanced learning program. So Mr. Ford, who I think will speak to this later, you know, feel free to apply. And like I said, it's something that we really feel strongly about. And again, if you have any challenges or questions, please make sure you keep reaching out with us. I mean, we're certainly going to be communicating with you. But as you can see from my exciting presentation, our homeroom begins at 7:45. But I should share with you one of the things that we've really learned during the pandemic and having students in the building since October has been that, you know, it may be beneficial to have more of a rolling arrival time. You know, there are some challenges with the neighborhood that Normandin is in. You know, there's about 1,200 students who are all trying to come in at the same time. So we are reflecting on making that somewhat of a little bit of a balance. And our dismissal time is, you know, 2:30. We are one of the few middle schools that have, you know, a lot of buses. And so we have two sides of the building. I'm sure that will be discussed later on as well. But again, we want to make sure that as sixth graders are coming in, they have as much information as possible so they feel as comfortable as possible. That's why our sixth grade is on the first floor. I think we have a dynamic sixth grade teaching team. And I think over the last few years, we've done some real significant changes here to just both make the academic experience for your child better, but also to make the social and the emotional part of the experience here at Normandin to be better well. So feel free to reach out to me directly or to reach out to one of the presenters that you're going to see today. So how's that, Ms. Mejia? Is that good?
Very good. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much.
As everyone knows, our dismissal and arrival time.
So now we are going to introduce to you our staff that is here with us today. So Ms. Aracelis Rodriguez, all yours.
My name is Mrs. Rodriguez. Currently, I am working with the 8th grades. One of the things that we do at Normandin is that we loop with our kids. So my babies are leaving, they're going to the high school, and I will be transitioning back to the 6th grade students. So I have been one of the assistant principals here for almost 10 years now, and I look forward to meeting you. Next, we have Miss Dwayne.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Dwayne. I will be the income and guidance counselor for the 6th grade. I have also been at Normandin for about 15 years as a guidance counselor, and I look forward to meeting all of you in the fall.
Hi, my name is Kim McLean. I'm the school adjustment counselor. I had the luxury of working at an elementary school, so I know the difficulty from going to elementary where students are pretty much, they follow their teachers, they're in one setting, and coming to a middle school, especially as large as Normandin, and how big it is, and a lot of students, and you have a little more independence. So I'm really looking forward to a new year, and hopefully we're all back in school and a new beginning for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
My name is Glenn Forg. I am one of 4 guidance counselors here. I work specifically with students in the advanced learning program and also students that are in the dual enrollment program. We have guidance counselors at each grade level. So we have one at 6th, 7th, and 8th. And as Mrs. Rodriguez explained, That team of assistant principal, guidance counselor, and SAC will actually loop with the students, or basically stay with the students for 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. I specifically work with the AL students, again, for 6th, 7th, and 8th, and we all help students transition into school. Our main goal is to help students set appropriate goals, develop skills, especially academic, social, emotional, and college and career readiness. Thank you for coming this evening.
Mr. Forge, and my name is Angie Mojica. Like I said before, I'm the family engagement specialist. So my role is to educate, empower, and engage the families with the school system. So I'm here for you at the Family Engagement Center. We don't have with us today Amy Baldwin. She is our special education facilitator, but she is in charge of all the students with IEPs. And we have Mr. Morris. He is the attendance officer too. Okay.
So as you get ready for middle school, we had this evening so we can familiarize and kind of give a brief orientation to some of the faculty members that you'll be dealing with. Obviously, there are quite a few. I think we're up to 90 plus faculty members in our building that are all here to support the students and parents. As an easy go-to, if you have any questions, you can just call me in the middle school. A lot of people will just ask for the guidance office, and we will help you in any way we can. If we don't have the answer, we will guide you to the people that do have the answers. And Mrs. Mojica is also here also as the parent support specialist to do the same. So the good news about starting middle school, you don't have to register for middle school. If you live in the North End of New Bedford and part of this district, you will automatically become a member of our school if you choose to. This is the neighborhood school for the North End, and I grew up in the North End near Parappas, and certainly the North End has extended further down to like Antonio's in that area. But we welcome everybody, and we'll talk about transportation later, but anybody who lives over 2 miles would qualify for busing. But we do, like Mr. McNiff said, have a lot of students that are walking, that are being dropped off, and Mrs. Rodriguez will talk about that later in reference to how we get everybody in the school safely and how we send everybody home safely. Everyone should get used to looking at the New Bedford Public School website itself. Over here, you can see NBPS calendar link. That's one of many resources available on the New Bedford Public School website. But that is the place that you look for at the beginning of the school year when you're wondering about when will this school year start? What is the first day for 6th grade? We've done things different in the past. Certainly, we don't really know what's going to happen in September as of yet, but that is the best place to look for overall explanation of the calendar, when we start, when we have vacations, and there's many other resources on the New Bedford Public website that you should all take advantage of. As far as supplies, we get asked this every year. Certainly, you can come in with a notebook. You can come with pens and pencils. You can come in with whatever you want. I would not buy too much until you came into school and actually talked to teachers, because teachers will often have specific recommendations of what you should and should not buy. And luckily, we have a lot of resources, and you can, again, ask guidance counselors or Mrs. Mojica, and we have plenty of supplies available for students who might not have them, who might not come to school prepared. We are here to help students and families in any way we can. So the 508-997-4511 number is the number for all New Bedford Public Schools. So it is good to keep track of some of the extensions so that you can actually use the extensions to get to our school or to a specific person more quickly. The next slide is actually going to talk a little bit about our school. We are the Normandin Navigators, and we ask students to work hard, be nice, and stay safe. We are a New Bedford school, so I'm sure all of you know this is a whaling city. New Bedford High School are the whalers, that's their mascot. So with that idea, we have 4 pods in our school, pod 1, 2, 3, and 4. Students will be strategically placed in one of these pods, in smaller groups. So like Mr. McNiff said, coming into a school of 1,100, 1,200 students, a big school with 3 floors can be quite intimidating. But we break it down into smaller pods. So the concept of pods is based on whales who travel around in little families. We do consider our pods families, and we do a lot of fun things within our pods. And the teachers that are within that pod are where they spend most of the day. English, math, science, social studies, academic support, mentoring. This is their home every day. Hopefully we'll be able to use lockers next year. They can bring their stuff in. They can use their lockers, which is another challenge that we'll address some other time. Some people aren't used to using the locks. But that's what we're here for, to help students adjust to a new environment and get ready to take advantage of the many awesome things we have available in our school. So we break this down into smaller pods, which is about 100 students per pod. So approximately 350 to 400 people per grade level, and 6th graders start on the 1st floor and then move their way up. 2nd floor is 7th grade, 3rd floor is 8th grade. And Mrs. Duane will talk about the schedule later. Like I said, they mostly stay within their pod area. But if we go back to our normal schedule, students will travel around to their unified art classes when they have unified arts. So we've already covered when the school starts in the homeroom period, and we're probably going to cover it a couple more times on other slides. But again, feel free to call, email, ask questions, because we set this up because we used to have tours for all of our 5th grade students that would actually come into our building, look around. So later on in this presentation, we have a virtual tour for you.
Well, as Mr. Ford discussed, homeroom begins at 7:45 to 8:15. During homeroom, students will get their daily schedule and the plan for the day. We operate on a 6-day cycle, and the day of the cycle will determine what classes you have on that specific day. As Mr. Ford stated, in 6th grade, for your math, ELA, social studies, and science, you travel among 2 rooms and you have 2 teachers. You will travel outside the pod for your unified art classes. Classes run approximately about an hour long a day, and our daily lunch is 30 minutes a day. Lunch takes place in our cafeteria.
So some of the courses offered at our school, we call some unified arts. So besides the core academics, English, math, science, social studies, we have unified arts. So we are it's awesome that we have so many different unified arts for kids to explore. And I'm going to explain some of them today. Like I said earlier, you don't have to apply, but we do have a specific application process for advanced learning. The link that is part of this slide is a questionnaire for anybody who is interested and wants some more information. And most likely there will be a follow-up application that goes along with applying to advanced learning students. The advanced learning curriculum is the same as all the other classes, but they do often go at a faster pace, and it's expected that students can work independently on completing all of their work. We are very lucky and work very hard. There are a lot of work through New Bedford Public Schools to get everybody a laptop. So we'll continue with that next year. Everybody that comes in will be provided a laptop along with technical assistance, which was huge this year. The 5 basic unified art classes that students have, and it will be illustrated on another slide, are art class, and we have 3 teachers for each one of these courses: art class, health class, physical education, STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. And then we have a music course. So majority of students are going to take those 5 traditional unified art classes, have that worked into their schedule, and have 1 or 2 unified arts each day of the 6-day cycle, which again, we're going to show you an illustration of a little bit later. Music itself being unique, we have a general music class. Kids who are playing an instrument in elementary school, your name will be sent right along from your music teacher to Mr. Chambers, who coordinates our music program. Some kids play a band instrument. We have strings. We've had piano in the past. We're not sure which classes we'll have yet, but we definitely will have band classes. We also have chorus. So again, students that have been in chorus in elementary school can continue chorus here. And we also have some advanced classes for some other students also. So you'll get used to hearing the term unified art classes in reference to art, health, phys ed, STEM, and music.
Okay, we also have academic support that meets twice a week as well as a mentoring class. And this is just to assist students who need additional help. The mentoring class is more for teachers to know students, students to know the teachers, and students to know each other. So there's a lot of support within the 6-day cycle. We also have ESL or English as a second language. We have support for those students. They would have an ESL class. We also have reading classes for students that need extra reading, and we have co-teach classes. So some of our classes will have a general education teacher as well as a special education teacher. And students with individualized education plans or 504 plans will receive the supports that they need. So any student that's on an IEP or a 504, we get that information and send it out to all the teachers in each pod. So when students come in, we're already aware of supports that students need.
Okay.
This is an example of a current 6th grade schedule. It's a pod 2 student and the homeroom is 163. A pod teachers consists of approximately 4 to 5 teachers, one for math, ELA, science, social studies, and some pods also have a special ed teacher. If you look at the schedule, you'll see that the majority of the classes are on the first floor because that's where the 6th grade is located. However, for the unified arts, if you look down to day 1, period G, STEM, that states it's room 350. So that would mean that the class is located on the 3rd floor. So unified art classes will be offered on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floor for all students. I think that's it. Mr. Forg, is there anything else I missed?
So if I could just clarify though, this is our current schedule because of the remote learning where you see a double block for the students on day 1, 2, and 3. We'll be going back hopefully to our normal schedule where students will be having 4 blocks of their core academics for next year. But this does show like how our schedule does rotate. The reason it rotates is so that students can have multiple opportunities for the enrichment classes in the UA. So I just wanted to clarify just in case you were looking at this, because if I was a parent and looking at this, this would look very confusing. So if you have any questions about the schedule, once we start sending it out over the summer, then just let us know. Thank you.
In addition, I just want to say something else. You see the day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and like Mr. Bickness said, we may go to a 4-day cycle. It doesn't correspond with the days of the week, so we won't automatically say Monday is day 1, Tuesday is day 2. So how we make sure the kids are aware is the teachers will always have it posted in their classrooms what day of the cycle it is, so that way there is no confusion when the students come in. We're going to talk a little bit about the after-school programs. Prior to the pandemic, and we're hoping that this actually comes back to normal. I know the kids are always asking me, Mrs. Rodriguez, when are things going to get back to normal? And I said, well, right now, this is the new normal. But anytime you drive by the school, you will see cars in the parking lot. There's always something going on in Normandin. In the fall, we usually have soccer, we have basketball. Flag Football 21st Century runs a program that has anything from cooking to virtual games to sports. They are dismissed at 4:30. Students are usually dismissed on the Talking Hillside Road, basically here next to the field, when they are participating in any after-school sports, and they are open to all students. So it doesn't matter if they're 6th grade, 7th grade, or 8th grade, it is for all the kids. So just something to think about. The 21st Century program, there is an application process. They usually start that process around late September. And the person that is in charge of that is Mr. Martins. He's not on this slide, but when the time comes, we will be sharing that information with you.
And so I'd also just like to mention, we do have after-school tutoring programs. They start off a little bit later in the year after students get accommodated into the building. But right now we have a pretty robust program going on for students. that goes from approximately 2:45 to 3:45 as a drop-in service for kids who might need some additional support. So that's also an option for students. And in years past, and I'm sure this will be true once we return to normal, we've had late buses for kids who live outside of our 2-mile radius. So we want to make sure that all students have access to after-school programming. And so there are late buses for kids. All right, thank you.
So clarification also on the after-school tutoring program. There are teachers that are during the normal school day are 6th, 7th, and 8th grade teachers specifically, but that doesn't mean that a student from 6th grade cannot go to an 8th grade teacher and receive tutoring services there. So it's open to all the students, regardless of what grade level the teacher that is tutoring teaches during the course of the day. Talking about transportation, as we mentioned before, to qualify for transportation, you have to live beyond a 2-mile limit. We at the school directly, we don't take care of that. That comes directly from the transportation department. Usually they send the students, the school department knows basically the addresses of the students that are transferring from elementary to middle school. And more than likely before school starts, they will receive bus passes. It's just a paper. And on that paper is identified the bus that they take, the time that they pick up the bus, and the bus stop. And it gives you a time, but I usually tell the kids try to be there a few minutes early and don't get discouraged if the bus is a little bit late. Just hold on. They'll come for the kids. They drop them off here directly, and whatever bus the students take in the morning, that's the same bus the students take in the afternoon. Some students on an IEP will have transportation written into their IEP. That's totally different from the transportation that we provide on the side. Also, let's see, I said the 2-mile limit. If you have any questions regarding transportation, okay, the number is listed here, 508-997-4511, and the extensions are listed. Once again, the students, and they do a really good job with this, the students that qualify for buses will receive documentation they'll receive it in the mail, and don't look for a card. It's a letter on regular paper, and once again, it has the student's name, the bus, the number that they take, what time the bus will pick them up, and the location where they are supposed to be waiting for the bus. We have also for the walkers, it's not listed here, but the kids that take the buses are usually dismissed on the field side. So the huge field that's on the Talking Hills Road side, the buses will line up over there. Students that are walking or their parents are picking them up will be released via usually the Orleans side. And lately, because of what's going on and these unprecedented times, we have students that are actually being dismissed from the front of the building as well, depending on what end of the building their homeroom or their last class is located. So once again, transportation is usually, it's not Normandin that takes care of that. We can help facilitate the process, but it comes directly from the school department.
I want to say something about McKinney-Vento. If you are living in a temporary place with a family or someone else, and you, for circumstances, you have to move out of our district, you don't need to take your kid out of Normandin. You can get in contact with me. I'm the McKinney-Vento liaison for the school, and I can provide transportation for the student. You don't need to take the student to a different school or different, if you want to. If your decision, if you want to keep the student in the school, in our school, we can provide you transportation, even if it's 45 minutes away from the school. So McKinney-Vento is a federal law that protects the families that live in a temporary way with someone else, or homeless families, or families that are passing for different situations, difficult times. All right, so
Okay, medical form, so authorization to release information. If your child has any kind of specialized procedure that they need at school, such as suctioning, catheterizations, or tube feedings, an authorization for specialized physical health care service procedures form listed below should be completed by your child's healthcare provider. You would sign it and send it into school. If you have any questions regarding your child's special health care needs, you may contact the Normandin school nurse, and her name and number and extension, as well as her email, is listed in the PowerPoint. Okay, the emergency form is a very important form that we use on a consistent basis, because as a team, we are all trying to reach out to students, to parents, um, and sending along a lot of information. Mr. McNiff might be sending out a robocalls, things that are important that are going on in the school. So in the beginning of the year, please provide all your updated information, your address, any phone numbers, especially other people that we can contact in case of an emergency or anything that we need to call and get in touch with someone. Emergency contact information and any other important information. And it's also very important, emails, because we can email you, we can text you when we need to, or vice versa, when you need to get in touch with us. And if you move, if you change your number, please remember to call the school or call a counselor or a teacher to give them the new information. That helps us quite a bit throughout the year. And there's a updated student information online form in the packet.
It's also very important for our awesome secretarial staff, which run the front office, which is in the front of our school, which is on Felton Street. For instance, you just can't send a family member to come to Normandin and say, I need to pick up my somebody, my son, my daughter. Your information has to be included on the emergency form, and we'll also ask to show an ID. So it's extremely important for many reasons, not only just, something happens in school for us to contact somebody. Some people on their emergency form have 6 or 7 names. 1 or 2 is great, but the more the better, so that for whatever reason we can't get in touch with someone, we have a family resource or someone that you trust that we can contact that might be able to get in touch with you quicker than we would be able to get in touch with you.
Well, I mean, as we all know, we face some uncertain times. We, I think, have done a great job here at Normandin in keeping students and faculty safe. We have been consistently in the building since October, and we have a range of procedures that we're utilizing in order to ensure that we're following all of the guidelines. If you were able to come to the building, you would see even in our cafeteria area, we have barriers between students, even within our gymnasium. So there has been, like I said, a lot of effort made, but this is an ever evolving situation. And as Mr. Florek said at the beginning of the presentation, the best resource for information about this is the district website. We follow those district procedures. But like I said, we felt very confident this year in our ability to both educate students in person as well as remotely. And, we will continue to do so until we have those necessary changes.
How can families help their children? At the beginning of the school year, the 6th grade homeroom teachers do an excellent orientation for all students. They help them understand their schedule better, know the resources in our school. They also do a little tutorial on lockers and how to open the lockers. I know that's a huge stressor for a lot of incoming 6th graders because they've never opened a locker before or used a lock. So they do a great job on all those things during the first few days of the school year. A key thing at Normandin, we feel, is open lines of communication between parents, teachers, guidance counselors. If you ever have any questions at all and you can't reach a teacher, especially if it's during the school day, please feel free to call your guidance counselor. We can help you, or we can direct you to who you need. Even if it's just a question for a teacher, we can ask that teacher the question and get back to you probably sooner than the teacher can get back to you, because that would usually be at the end of the school day.
We've also developed some additional resources that we'll continue to use next year. Now we all have Google Classroom. So not only do the teachers, we have a Google Classroom by grade level that you'll hear this term again, student support team. So we provide information in many different ways, and certainly we encourage parents to join the Google Classroom so they can also see what's going on. It is also a resource where you can leave a message, not the best way, We use a couple other tools also. If you've heard the term dojo before, there are different apps that teachers use within the school to communicate with parents. Remind is another one. So we're kind of trying out a couple different ones to see what works best. And we leave a lot of that flexibility up to the grade level teachers or the pods themselves. So besides the traditional phone call, email, Google Classroom, and another app that some pods use to communicate with parents. So again, we highly encourage, share your information, call us, let us know how to get in touch with you, so that it's a two-way street, that we're sharing information, you're asking questions. Sometimes you're also obviously sharing very important information to us about something that might have happened in your child's life that might affect their daily schoolwork. That could come to the guidance counselor, it could come to the homeroom teacher, and then we share amongst ourselves, because we have meetings built into our schedule. While your children are at unified art classes, we are sometimes meeting as groups, as pods, and talking about how we can help support students or parents, or having parent meetings, doing Zoom meetings. So we'd love to improve communication, but again, a lot of times we need your information to help us, what one of our principals says, help us help you.
Ms.
I would
Kim?
just mention, I think Mr. Fork just went over this. So again, like, we are really trying to promote a healthy transition for your students. And so we want to make sure that as we begin our school year next year, that your student feels welcomed and comfortable in our building. And we want to hear from parents and families if that's not the case. We're really confident in our sixth grade team, but there's always situations where we certainly can do better. So please make sure that you reach out to us with any concerns at the beginning of the year so that they can be addressed.
Sorry, I was on mute. My role as a school adjustment counselor is to support students' social and emotional needs, as well as servicing students on IEPs that need social, emotional, get their needs met as well. So we work really hard to have great relationships with students and parents. Mr. McNiff, a couple of years ago, had it so that we're teams and we stay with the students 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So we're building relationships. We get to know the students very well. We get to know a lot of the parents. And the more we know, the better we can help students. I think one of the really important things for students to know when they come to 6th grade is that there is a little more independence, and you are going to UAs and you're not going with a teacher. So you have to schedule your time well and make good choices. Go to the classes that you need to go to on time and prepared. It's also really important that if you are having any difficulty, like Mr. McNiff said, and Mr. Ford, call the school, call the counselors, let us know. We can check in with students. We can spend time with them and figure out ways to help them. And students, talk to your teachers, talk to the counselors. We are here. We're always in the building, and we are here to help you. If you're having any situations, we need to know and we can help. So please keep the lines of communication open, make good choices. You are going to be a little more independent. You will learn how to use a locker and the lock. And we're really excited. We have all staff is on board when the 6th graders come in, because we know you're nervous. We know you're anxious. Some of you are excited, and it's exciting for us to welcome new students into the building. And you will see in the beginning, especially, a lot of staff will be available to help you open up your lock and things like that. But we are here to help.
Thank you. So we're going to talk now about the Family Engagement Center. The Family Engagement Center is a center that was created with the families in mind. The families can visit the center anytime in person with an appointment. You can get in contact with me. We can make an appointment, or virtually. You can meet with me virtually too. So I connect the families with resources. So I'm here for the families. We want the students to be successful, and we want the families to be fine, and we want the families to be engaged with the education of their children. So I connect the families with resources. If they need clothing or food, or need help with the electric or gas bill, or any other resources from our community, I can connect the families with those community resources. We do workshops too. We do workshops about mental health services, counseling services for survivors of domestic violence. We connect the families with different resources. So don't be afraid to get in contact with me. You can find me even in Google Classroom. I created Google Classroom for parents, and I teach the parents how to engage with the Google Classroom and how to understand Google Classroom. I do classes, computer classes for parents, and many more. So don't be afraid to connect with me. This is my information. You can find me in our number, the school department number, and my extension is 31531. And we're gonna have this presentation in our website. So you can get access to this presentation anytime, and all the forms that we were talking about, you're going to have access in our page, Normandin Middle School page, to the UNWEFA Public School page. So we are finishing. So Mr. McNiff and Ms. Rodriguez.
Don't know if anyone has any specific questions that they'd like to ask, some clarification.
So I'm just going to mention, I think sometimes it's challenging on such large Zoom meetings for us to take questions. But I do think we provided information on how you can outreach to Ms. Rodriguez. So if you have specific questions about your child or about the transition, feel free to give her an email or to call the school. And if you want to put your questions into the chat, we can review those questions and maybe do a frequently asked question at the end of the presentations that we're doing so that families can get responses to that.
There was one question. Yes, all students get academic support and mentoring within their schedule. It is once every 3 days that they would get academic support or mentoring built into their schedule.